Hey, family. This is Che Willis coming back with another episode of Wealth is a Journey podcast. Guys, this is episode 151, 151 weeks of consistency, 151 weeks of getting it done. We outside. Guys, Wealth is a Journey is moving and shaking, man. I think I say this every week, but because we're doing this podcast, we're getting opportunities to speak. Speaking to another a high school and just I'm telling you, man, I get so filled up, man. Every time I get the opportunity to speak about something that I'm passionate about, that I know is going to add value to somebody else's life, man. If they listen, if they do the things that I've done to get to where I am today, man. And I'm just super excited about where God is taking Wealth as a Journey. It just started out as an idea. I was scared, I was afraid, but I ended up doing it anyway. And 151 weeks later, we here, man. So everybody who is taking this ride with me, thank you so much. We definitely appreciate it. It does not go unnoticed. Any comments, any likes, any subscriptions, I appreciate you, man. If you're a first time listener, watcher, subscriber, thank you so much for joining us. On this podcast, we talk about faith, family, and finances, among other things. If you are a return listener, watcher, subscriber, thank you so much for joining us again. Hopefully, we are adding value to your lives on the way to the M's because we are 1000% on the way to the M's. And you may say, Che Willis, what are the M's? The M's are millions, millions in assets and cash. How are we going to get there? We're going to get there by reducing our expenses. We're going to take the pile of cash from reducing our expenses. We're going to march it out into the marketplace and we are going to make us some money babies. And that's exactly how we're going to do it. Now, the last couple of weeks we've been talking about the foundation of how to build wealth. We talked about consistency. We talked about perseverance. We talked about building your emergency fund. We talked about where are you in your financial journey. We talked about writing out all of your expenses, writing out all of um your income, so then you know exactly where you are financially. We talked about reducing expenses. We talked about investing. That's the fun part, investing. But what we're doing is we're building a system, okay? So before you turn this off and say, "Oh, well, I don't want to hear that." You need to hear this because you cannot build a house on sand. What do I mean by that? I mean that the budget, reducing your expenses, understanding where you are financially, the perseverance, the consistency is all foundational stuff. If you have the foundation and you're not making a lot of money at the time, and then you end up getting a lot of money in from whatever source it comes from, then you'll know exactly what to do with it because you have a system in place. Now, you may be of the mindset that, eh, I'm just going to somehow get a whole bunch of money in, whether it's an inheritance, the lottery, gambling, whatever the case may be. But if you do not have a system in place, you will lose the money. I promise you that. So we have to understand that all the things that we're talking about on this podcast, that it's all foundational stuff. Now, what I do understand, I get it. This stuff is not sexy. When you see people on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, they make wealth building feel and sound so sexy. I'm investing, I'm riding in this Lambo, I'm doing all these different things. That's the sexy part. But we need the foundational part before we get to the sexy part. That is a must. And you don't necessarily understand that you need these things when you're watching Instagram because you see the finished product of these people that you're watching taking nice trips, riding in private jets and driving nice cars and things of that nature. That's the final product. But what you don't see is the work that was put in to get to the final product. And that's the foundational stuff that we have to do before we get to the sexy stuff. So, writing out your budget, getting all your expenses and your income in order, reducing your expenses by paying down your debts, building an emergency fund at the same time. Those are the foundational things that we need to do. And you may not feel like you need those things until an emergency happens. Today, at the filming of this podcast, I got a phone call from a contractor saying that there was a large sum of money that I had to pay to get some work done. I'll tell you the story. A couple weeks ago, I had my exterminator come by the house, come by one of my rental properties, and he did what he needed to do. He said, "Hey, by the way, I think you got a leak in your basement over here." Okay. So I go over there, I take a look at it. It's definitely leaking. And then I start making phone calls. So I finally get to a contractor and they came over. Excuse me. They said the repair is going to be 5 grand. Now, 5 grand hurts. It hurts. However, on the rental property side, we have a system set up. What do I mean by that? The same thing that I'm doing at home with reducing my expenses, building an emergency fund for rainy days because rainy days will come. I'm doing the same thing in my business. And I encourage any business owner, I don't care how high or low your expenses are, to have an emergency fund because we can then borrow from ourselves instead of borrowing from the bank. Because borrowing from the bank makes the bank rich. We don't want to do that. That's not how we get wealthy. We get wealthy by making ourselves rich. So when I heard the 5 grand, I felt like somebody kicked me in my face. And then I thought to myself, well, you do have money set off to the side for times like this. So I didn't feel as bad because I had the money sitting off to the side. Now, do I have to build the money back up? Absolutely. But the money is sitting off to the side for rainy days like this for me to take care of any emergency, which this is an emergency, and I'll be able to take care of it no problem. Now, how am I going to pay this money back? The way I'm going to pay the money back is in my budget every month. When I get the income in, I have it broken down. This is going to insurance. This is going towards repairs. This is going to taxes. This is going towards investing. There is a system in place. So when I get the pile of money in from the properties or from whatever else I have going on, then there's always a system in place of where the money is going to go. So if I'm trying to invest, which is the sexy thing, this will not stop my investing because I already have a system in place to replace the money that I took from my emergency fund. And the emergency fund is there so you don't have to stop your investing when you're doing your budget. So when emergencies happen, I don't have to stop my investing because I already have a line item in my budget. So when the money comes in, I'm pulling some of that money out, I'm putting it in my emergency fund. Now, the beauty of having an emergency fund is whatever your expenses are, you want to have 3 to 6 months of whatever your expenses are. But once those expenses, that emergency fund is met, you can then take the pile of cash, whatever you were investing for your, not investing, I'm sorry, whatever you were putting in your emergency fund, you can then take that pile of cash and then allocate it somewhere else. A trip, um, investing more money to make you more money. So you have options, and Building these foundations is exactly what we're doing, whether you know it or not. We are giving ourselves options to live our best life because there's nothing worse than an emergency happening and you have no money to take care of it. So we have to have an emergency fund. And we want to get to the sexy thing, but we have to take care of the stuff that makes our stomach hurt first. And I talked about it on the last episode. One of the things that I have my clients do, or any student do, or any audience member that I'm speaking to, I'll let them know, like, hey, you want to live this life? Yes, absolutely. That's great. Good. There's some things that we got to do first. We got to look at what we have going on first. And then once we find out what we have going on by making our budget, then that's when we can make decisions on how we're going to attack being able to live our best life. But we cannot do that independent of an emergency fund because things will come up. So, on the journey, when you are building your foundation and then you take care of the emergency fund, you take care of reducing your expenses, that's when we can get to the sexy things of investing. Just a couple of things that um, I'll let you know that we have going on in our house. When I was talking before about reducing our expenses, we reduced our expenses, we paid off everything. Now we're able to invest at a higher clip. So, therefore, when it's time to stop working, we now have a pile of cash making money for us. And in the next episode, we are going to talk about what exactly we're doing, like portfolio. We're going to talk about all the things that we have going on. You might not see all the numbers, but we will talk about the things that we have going on. So hopefully that will give you a glimpse of what life could look like for you, starting wherever you are. Okay. So one other thing that I'll tell you regarding options, go from an emergency fund standpoint, and I talked about it on this podcast before, but I think because we're here, I think it's good to talk about now. Is I had a rental property that cost me way more money than I anticipated paying. The rental property was going to cost me like all in. I paid $15,000 for it. I thought it was going to cost maybe 15,000 to fix it up. It wasn't the case. Cost me about 45, 50,000 to actually fix the thing up. The problem is I didn't have the money. So I ended up reaching out to my wife and saying, "Hey, babe, listen, I need to borrow some money from us, not the bank. I need to borrow some money from us to take care of the remaining part of this project." And it was like 5 grand, I think it was like 5 to 7 grand. It was like 7 grand, but she agreed to give me five, and I took it, no problem. And then I made up the money somewhere else, the other two that I needed somewhere else. But I'm saying that to say that uh the emergency fund piece of your journey is going to be critical because again it's going to give you options. So I'm just thinking to myself, how much if I went to the bank or I swiped the credit card and it took me a few months to pay the money back, how much money that would have actually cost me if I didn't do the thing that made my stomach hurt, which is the boring thing, which is saving the money. That's not sexy. But when you need it, you'll be you'll be more grateful to yourself that you went through the journey and the stomach hurt of I need to save this money. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying that to say the emergency fund is going to be crucial for you and for me. As you can see, I had two emergencies that cost thousands of dollars. But if I didn't have the money saved, it would cost me thousands of dollars more in interest potentially. And again, if we're making the bank rich, we are making ourselves broke. So we need to make sure that we have these system things set up, and hopefully you understand the why behind what we're actually doing. If you've had an emergency, put it in the comments below if you ever got caught with your pants down, because I got caught with my pants down before. I talked about in a couple episodes before about how I didn't have enough money to pay for a stove. I'm a grown man with my own house. This is before I got married. I'm a grown man with my own house, and I didn't have enough money for a stove. So if you have any comments or anything like that that happened to you, put it in the comment, man. I want to hear about it. I want to know about it, because there are a lot of people out here that are of the mindset that they're going to swipe credit cards, but don't understand how much that is costing them by not setting up the system. Having a credit card and using it is not a system. So that is the episode, man. Foundational. We have to take care of the foundational stuff that's not sexy, that's super boring, but we have to master those things. So when then the money starts flowing in, we know exactly what to do with it to make us more money, because that's how we are going to build wealth. We are going to build wealth by buying assets. You can't buy assets with no money. You can't buy assets if you have emergencies that happen and you have to swipe a credit card. It will not happen that way. So we have to build these foundational things, and hopefully I drove that point home, but this is just something that we have to do. If you need help building your budget, no problem. You've come to the right place. We have free information on my website at wealthisajourney.com. Doesn't cost you anything. If you need um a how-to video on how to build your budget, free information on my website. So there's no excuse for you not to know how to do the things that we're talking about. Just a little bit of perseverance, a little bit of consistency, and that will get you on your way to building the wealth and living the best life that you want to live. So let's get to it, man. Uh Being on this journey has not been easy, but I'm glad I started, because being on this side of, being debt free and things of that nature, it's way better than having debt. I promise you that. So if you're at a mindset of, oh, I'm gonna have debt for the rest of my life, no, you don't have to. If you work a little bit, consistency, perseverance, you can be debt free too, and that's when life will really get fun for you. So hopefully that helped. Thank you guys for tuning in. Wealth is a journey. We will see you next week. Peace.